Nuestros siguientes expositores son Chris y Ben, una pareja con el sueño de lograr tener su propio negocio, brindando a Australia lo mejor de México. Ben siempre supo que quería tener su propio negocio, pero la verdadera inspiración surgió cuando vivió en carne propia la cultura mexicana. Con experiencia en exportaciones, negocios y una pasión innata por la decoración, Ben comenzó esta aventura y Chris, siendo diseñadora industrial, con experiencia en la manufactura de productos, unieron sus fuerzas para empezar su empresa Viva la Frankie. Hoy ellos les compartirán su experiencia. Bienvenidos, Chris y Ben.
Hola a todos, muchas gracias por tenernos aquí. Voy a empezar primero yo hablándoles, realmente es contarles la experiencia que hemos tenido y cómo ha pasado todo. No es porque sea bien o mal o lo que sea, es nada más decirles cómo nos ha ido en los últimos 2 años y después Ben les hablará un poquito más de exportación en Australia. Primero, la foto es muy borrosa, pero es una de las que más me gusta porque es la primera que realmente fue así como, ok, está pasando, es un sueño que de verdad está pasando. Esto ha sido el sueño que ha traído Ben, siempre traía la idea de decir quiero hacer un negocio, nada más que no sabía exactamente qué hacer. Y bueno, nos conocimos, lo llevé a México, se enamoró de México, encantado de ver muchas cosas y la cultura y los colores. Y fue cuando se dio la idea y me dijo, tenemos que traer esas cosas a Australia, tenemos que compartir esto a Australia. Entonces, bueno, se enamoró de eso y después de ahí empezamos a tratar de ver cómo podemos empezar el negocio y empezar a traer cosas a vender a Australia. Entonces, les voy a ir platicando más o menos por los pasos que nos han pasado a nosotros y cómo hacer un negocio, y así les voy contando cómo nuestro... No es más, hasta Ben y yo decimos, no es realmente un negocio, es un startup, porque los dos seguimos trabajando tiempo completo para poder financiar esto. Entonces, es, ya saben, mucho esfuerzo y mucha pasión por hacer esto. Y bueno, les voy contando paso a paso y les voy contando cómo fue todo. Y estos son los 6 pasos que yo digo que es para empezar un negocio. Primero que nada, prepárense. Puse la foto del chavo listo para la guerra, porque así te sientes que mitad del día estás en tu empresa y estás haciendo lo que estás trabajando. Yo soy diseñadora, entonces estoy diseñando, y la otra mitad llegas a tu casa a trabajar y a decir, tengo que hacer esto y lo vamos a lograr y vamos a mandar 10 mails y estás cansada y ya sabes todo, pero bueno, lo haces. Entonces, comprométanse y hagan. Primero, no es un camino fácil, no es derechito y te dicen cómo hacerlo, es completamente complicado, es la realidad. Tienes que tener mucha determinación, mucha pasión, mucho esfuerzo, y realmente con la idea de no vas a perder nada. Realmente nada más tienes que aventar, tienes que hacerlo y probar, porque realmente lo único que puedes hacer es aprender muchas cosas. El otro paso pues, observen mucho. Obviamente somos turistas, yo siento que lo más valioso que tenemos en Australia, ser turista en tu propia ciudad. Me encanta, y cuando vas a caminar, observas a las personas, observas qué hay, qué no hay, y ahí es cuando empiezas a dar cuenta, bueno, a ver, ¿qué puedo hacer yo que pudiera funcionar en Australia? Entonces, observen y encuentren la oportunidad de qué es lo que pueden hacer. A lo mejor hay algo que traían desde México que hacían, o Latinoamérica, donde estén, que ya habían hecho, y se dan cuenta que puede funcionar aquí. Entonces, eso es muy buena opción, estar pensando que son turistas, pero en su misma ciudad. Después, el tercer paso es no asuman nada y prueben. A mí me pasó mucho, soy mexicana, entonces viniendo de México hay cosas que en México yo las veía pues normal, unos manteles de muchos colores. Pues sí los ves, pero los has visto desde que tengo 5 años. Cuando menos yo me enamoró de los manteles, y es que en Melbourne me pasa a encantar a las personas, a mí me encanta todo lo blanco, el griego, no me encanta. Entonces yo asumía que de repente me iba a gustar, y Ben me dijo, no hay que asumir, vamos a probarlo. Gracias a Dios en Australia es muy chiquito, hay muchísimos mercados, muchísimas oportunidades para hacer esto. Está el Mexican Festival, entonces pueden traer cosas y prueben, es la mejor opción que pueden hacer, no pasa nada, lo puedes probar y para ver si funciona. Entonces no están asumiendo si va a funcionar o si no va a funcionar, nada más ustedes pruébenlo y solitos les van a ir dando, digamos que la gente les platica, les dice si les gusta o si no les gusta, o algo no se vende, entonces solito se va dando el proceso. Luego, número 4, planea y oriéntate. Se los hice muy visual porque yo creo mucho en que son imágenes que se van a acordar, a lo mejor va a ser un poquito más entenderlo, y por eso puse esa foto del niñito con 10,000 floppies agarrar todo lo que puedas, planear y aventarte, porque eso es lo más importante. Yo no sé si esto es un cliché, pero siento un poquito que a veces en nuestras culturas es mucho pensar en el futuro y empiezas a pensar y no encuentro la palabra, pero es mejor decirla en inglés, o you start overwhelming de todo lo que viene. Y estás, pero ¿qué voy a hacer con esto? ¿Y qué voy a hacer con las regulaciones? Y porque te empiezas a pensar en tanto, empiezas a pensar en el futuro, que es bueno, ¿verdad? Porque ya estás pensando que ya estás allá. Pero te empiezas a poner muchas restricciones y empiezas a darte miedo y decir, no, mejor no me aviento. Y mejor te quedas como que en el ladito de la orillita donde mejor no lo hago y ya no lo hiciste y ya se quedó hasta ahí. Entonces realmente no puedes aventarte y esto es muy australiano y se lo he aprendido a Ben y es de la cultura. Ellos dicen, hasta que no esté enfrente de ti, no lo vas a tomar. Entonces no te preocupes por lo que está en 5 años, quién sabe qué va a pasar, pero ahorita decídete nada más por lo que está enfrente de ti. Y una vez que pases ese puente, entonces ya te puedes brincar a los. Entonces no se sientan tan presionados de qué va a pasar, sino poco a poco lo van a ir haciendo y poco a poco vas a ver. Luego conéctate y haz lo posible. Creo que una vez que ya planeaste y ya pensaste a ver qué es donde me quiero aventar o qué es donde quiero hacer, lo que sigue es saber a quién conozco que me pueda ayudar. Y mucho lo que dice Bold Network, definitivamente es. Empiezas a pensar, a ver, si hice algún servicio social con una persona, pero yo me acuerdo que Saúl sabía de películas, bueno, Saúl me puede ayudar a conectarme con bla, bla, bla. Entonces ahí empiezas a recordar a todas las personas que has conocido, muchas personas de las que vas conociendo, fuiste niñera de una señora que el esposo trabajaba en una empresa de finanzas y él te puede ayudar en algo. Entonces estar pensando y venderte los 30 segundos para saber a quién puedes contactar que te puede ayudar a hacer lo posible, para que también no te sientas que estás solo, no es nada más algo que puedes hacer tú solita, necesitas de personas que te estén ayudando y de personas que, si yo no sé nada de mercadotecnia, bueno, conéctate con alguien de mercadotecnia que pueda hacer. Sigue adelante y tu negocio te guiará. Esto lo digo porque en el momento en que estamos, Ben y yo llevamos 2 años haciendo esto, hemos hecho ya 2 ferias y hemos tenido unas pop-up markets para probar las cosas como han ido y poco a poquito ha salido y va bien, hay productos que se venden mejor, productos que se venden menos y solito te va diciendo, el público te va diciendo qué les gusta, qué no les gusta, solito te vas dando cuenta qué vas a comprar de más, qué de plano sabes que nunca lo vuelvo a traer. Entonces automáticamente te va dando la pauta de cómo le vas haciendo y realmente tu negocio te va guiando por el momento. Ben le encantaría tener tiendas por todo Melbourne y tener un restaurante con tienda y demás, pero bueno, paso a paso, tenemos que ir haciendo poco a poquito y tú te vas dando cuenta por dónde vas a poder crecer. Y ahora Ben les va a hablar un poquito de importación.
I suppose I just want to start off just saying a few things about how the market we live in at the moment makes it so easy just to get into business. So it's a really exciting generation we live in and a really exciting time that we live in to just get into small business or even just have a go and not really have too many tools or resources to do that. There's so many avenues with cloud computing, websites that just allow you to set up a website with a monthly charge. There's applications. I virtually just run my business off a phone. We're just in a generation that's just allows you to start a business so easily. So it's really, if anyone's thinking about getting into small business, it's a really exciting time to do it, and it's really affordable. 10 years ago, you'd have to have a lot of capital to even think about getting into business. Now you can just register a name, get a domain name, start up a website, and do it under $100 type of thing. It's extremely easy. So if there's any time in the world to get into business, it's probably it's now. There's a lot of competition, but for small startups, it's easy to get involved. So I highly recommend anyone that's got the passion or drive to get into small business, then to do it. Because the resources are there. You just need to do a little bit of research and network a little bit, and you find out ways to do that. And and through taking small steps, you find out ways on how you can do that. Like Chris was talking about the market that we did. Through that, I spoke to other small businesses and found out how they were doing it, and we found out websites like, I don't know if you've all heard of Shopify, but that's a website that we use. That's just a monthly charge, and they charge a small commission on your products that you sell, and that then you've got a face for your business. So that was a really easy, professional, cost-effective way to start our business. So I just really want to say that first. Another thing I wanted to say was, if you're ever thinking about getting into small business, there's a couple of things you really need to have. And one of them is passion, which Chris spoke about a little bit, belief and drive. So you need to have that passion just to believe in what you're doing. Like whether it's the film festival or whatever you're involved in, you need to have passion around that industry, because your passion rubs off on everyone else. If you don't believe in what you're doing, then no one else is going to believe it as well. So you need to resonate with that passion, because that'll reflect on your business. The other thing is you need to have a lot of drive. It's so difficult to in saying that it's so easy to get in, it's so difficult to get it out as well. So it's easy to get started up, but to get the product out there, you need to have that drive, because there's so many barriers to entry. It's not funny. There's just always someone else, stopping you from doing something. But you've always got to find a way to get around, and the way you can do that is through drive. So if you have the drive to make no one stop what you're doing, then you're going to always find a way to get to your destination. So that's really important as well. So on the import side of things, my whole career has been based around international business. So I started off in the export industry, the import industry, through freight forwarders, airlines, manufacturers. So that side of the business was quite easy. So I'll give you a little bit of insight to that. So if you're ever thinking about bringing some product over, you first need to contact a freight forwarder. They will give you the right advice and costings to be able to bring the product over. They're the experts. All you need to do is contact a series of freight forwarders to get that advice. If you just research freight forwarders, you can find there's hundreds in Melbourne. You just find ones that specialise in that side of the world, and they'll give you the right advice in terms of customs clearance, like what type of goods you can bring over, the types of rules that are involved, like glass, you can't have any lead, so there might be testing surrounding certain products. Also insurances, they'll give you advice on insurances. So that'll really give you the information that you need to coordinate any types of products that you want to bring into the country. Dealing with suppliers, it's probably been our biggest challenge. In Mexico, it's a lot of manufacturers aren't really set up to do international businesses. They're like they run their businesses out of houses, and they don't have the right paperwork. Chris, did you talk about any of the? So Mexico introduced a new taxing law that you have to register yourself with the government before you do an export. So that means every single small business in Mexico, being a family to a big corporation, they need to do an electronic factura invoice, which is just an invoice that they need to do with the government, so it's all recorded and registered. A lot of them aren't set up to do that, so that was a bit of a challenge. So that's something that's just happened recently, so that's something to be mindful of. But you just work through all these challenges, and it's there's so much beautiful stuff that comes out of Mexico, and I think this side of the world is just starting to wake up to it, which is really exciting. Food's been a massive industry that's taken off, and we feel there's a lot of cultural events that are happening that are huge, like the Mexican Festival. I don't know if anyone went to the Mexican Festival last year, but it was an absolutely huge event. I'm sure this year's event is just going to be just as big. So there's heaps of exciting things going on in our country that involves Latin America, so it's an exciting place to be. So all I can really say is that if you have a passion for something that's within your country that you want to expose to Australia, then go for it, because everyone's loving it at the moment. And I find, like, this experience that I've had with the products that I'm bringing over, we're not reinventing the wheel, which comes out of Mexico. We're just doing a little bit different in the sense that we are capturing that artisan products that come out there, but making them. Our business philosophy is to bring artisan products, but make them look more modern, make them look more now. Because a lot of traditional crafts in any country around the world are always, they could be a little bit rough around the edges, where we want to make them more mainstream and more ready for anyone in anyone's home. So that's our goal, and yeah. That's just pretty much what I want to say.
Any questions? I have many questions, so I need to have a couple with you guys. What's the e-commerce software you're using for your store, online store?
That's called Shopify.
Right, the Facebook volume.
No, it's a web. It's a company called Shopify that they have this pages pre-designed for you, and you just dump your images in there, and that runs all your e-commerce as well.
Yep.
So that's the back end of that's really easy. So that does all your e-commerce. It's got applications that you can just dump into the system that if you want to expand into certain areas, you can just buy an application. It's extremely cheap. It's costing you $30 a month to have, a premium looking website that's that makes me look like any other professional. Like companies, that's what I'm saying now. It's such a great time because there's companies out there, and first I want to say I'm working 2 jobs at the moment. So I work full time for a toy manufacturer, importing toys out of China, and that's my full time job. And then I'm running this business on the side. So that's the type of drive and passion you need to have, because you can't just have a startup and think it's all going to happen. It's a 2 to 3 year process to have a startup go from launch date to being self-funded business. You need to allow about 3 years before it starts to become cash flow positive. So I'm running 2 jobs at the moment to make that happen so I can fund it myself. But yeah, something like that, companies could spend $10,000 to have a full professional website that's e-commerce and B2B, B2C and all that type of stuff. Or I was talking to my CEO of the company that I work for, who's just spent 10 grand on his website, and I'm telling him about my website, and he just really fell off his chair. So it's quite possible now.
También hay otras páginas en español que están en México, creo que se llama Kimchi o Nixu, es otra, y empiezan también ya a estar aquí.
At what stage of your business did you get your Australian business number? At the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah, it doesn't cost, it's not very expensive to get an ABN. So if you're ready to start trading, so as soon as when you start to sell the product, that's when you need an ABN. You can get an ABN, an Australian ABN, without registering for GST. So you just virtually just register your number, which is not very expensive at all, and then you become a sole trader. So, and if you sell under $70,000 a year, then you can stay as a sole trader and not register for GST. So it just allows you to get your business to a stage before you start getting into the GST, and then you have to do your quarterly VAT statement, which is the thing that you have to do with the government to tell you what taxes you've paid, and that needs to be done each quarter. So as long as you keep your business under 70 grand, you can do it that way quite easily. But yeah, register straight away, because if you've got a business name that other people want, then it's better that you own it before anyone else. And the domain's the other thing. So the first thing I did was register my domain and an ABN. Because the domain, you need to own your domain. So Beagle or Frank is not very common. So I wasn't too worried about it. But if you wanted to say, import Mexico or Newcastle to gas or something like that, then everyone wants it, so you need to grab that domain. And that's You can buy a domain for like $5.
Simple question. We know about the word Viva in your business name, Viva La Frankie. Why La Frankie?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That's my question.
My last name's La Frankie.
Y a mí me encanta Italia, México.
So my name's Benjamin Frankie. But all my life, I've always had people comment on my last name. They always say, "Oh, Frankie, that's a cool name. You know, where's that from?" Blah blah blah. So I just made it, I like the word Viva because Spanish. I want to make it more Spanish, more on that side of the world. So yeah, I separated the LA and just did it that way. And my actually spelling is LAFRANCHI. So I've changed it to KI to make it more friendly.
Thank you. Where did you store your stuff?
I've had a really, when I first started the business, I just rented a storage unit in South Melbourne. So I was doing the South Melbourne market. So I just had a little storage unit there that was pretty inexpensive. That warehoused the first container. And then as the business started to build, I negotiated with the current boss that I work with at the moment. They have a huge complex in Clayton where I work, a massive warehouse. And now they're warehousing all my stock. So it's been really supportive of them to help out. But warehousing, there's a style of warehousing called 3PL. I don't know if anyone's heard of that term, but it's third-party logistics. And so you can store your goods in someone else's warehouse, and they will pick and pack it and deliver it to your customers, all for an expense. So essentially, you can run your business from a phone and use the services around you. And it's very common these days for people to use 3PL. It's not as common to have your own warehouse space, run your own business like that. It's more common to use 3PL services, outsource all your requirements, and then just run your business that way. There's a company called Carmen's Foods. They sell the muesli bars. You might see it before. I went to her conference where she spoke a couple of months ago, and she runs a $50 million business and only has 15 employees, which is a really good number. Like, $50 million business, you have quite a lot of employees, but she uses third-party companies. So she uses a third-party manufacturer, third-party logistics, uses agents to sell all her goods to the supermarkets. All she does is head up the business side of it and then has support staff around it. So there's a couple of ways you can set up a business. And one other thing I want to mention, if you are ever thinking of importing stuff from Mexico or that side of the world, you need to do it in full containers because it's so expensive, very, very expensive. So if you fill a container, you can maximise the amount of product you bring in at a more affordable cost. So to bring in a small ship, it will cost you a lot, but to bring a whole container in where you own the container yourself, you can maximise the space and reduce your overhead, your freight expense. So that's a good tip as well.
How long does it take to get the container from Mexico?
4 weeks.
Pero siempre, y eso sí es aprendimos, que siempre tienen que, desgraciadamente en México las cosas no son directas y siempre dejan unas 2 semanas para estar persiguiendo papeles de personas y demás, porque es exactamente 4 semanas desde que sale, pero el tiempo que te tardas en hacer los papeles yo diría que 2 semanas.
Gracias.
¿Cómo se hace todo una container? Ya es muy específica la pregunta, Ceci, la voy a dejar para después porque ya estamos sobre tiempo.
¿Te damos?
Sí, ahorita intercambiamos datos. Les damos muchísimas gracias a